So I am going to do a long tutorial video on how to make do-it-yourself wedding flowers out of book papers. I decided to do a literary theme for my wedding because I'm an ELA teacher and I grew up reading romance novels, and I just thought it would be a really cute theme that would tie everything together. So a couple things that you need. First, you're going to take book pages that you ripped out of an old book. We're going to upcycle these. And what I did was I took some RIT dye and I dyed it the shade of blue to go with my wedding colors. And you can find any kind of RIT dye for any kind of colors that you want. What you also need is, I found a template of a flower online that I just printed and cut out so that I can use for tracing. You need some tacky glue. My tacky glue is a little bit dried out, so it was having a hard time coming out, so we're going to use a paintbrush to apply the glue since it won't squeeze out. And then you need some sort of pencil so that it makes layering the flowers a little bit easier. So the first thing that I'm going to do is take my petal and I'm going to trace it, and what I like to do is layer the papers so that I only have to cut it once. So I think the best size for my wedding is for 5 papers to go, but you can actually make this out of less papers, probably no more or no little than 3, but you could make 8 flower petals and combine all of those and make bigger flowers if that's what you want to do. So I'm going to go ahead and trace my flower petal. Sorry that it's going to take me a minute because I'm a slow tracer, but I will go as quickly as I can so that you're not sitting here bored out of your mind because you know how to trace. I made all of these flowers to go in my bridesmaids' wedding bouquets, the bridesmaids' bouquets as well as my bouquet. And then I actually made tinier ones for the men's boutonnieres. And then what I'll probably do is I'll make different colored ones. I might make plain white ones to go just as part of decor around the room. So I have my traced paper, so you can see the flower on here. And then the next step is to just make sure you hold them tightly together while you cut it so that you get just all of them cut out at once instead of cutting them out individually. Again, it's going to take me a minute. Hopefully I don't do a sloppy job cutting this out. The paper, after it's been in the RIT dye and sit out for a long time, does harden a little bit, so it makes it easier to cut. If you don't use RIT dye and you just keep the paper the same color, it's a little bit flimsier and you just have to hold it a little bit tighter. But if you see while I'm cutting this, I can move my hand pretty easily along the paper just because it's a little bit firmer. You could also do this with other types of paper if you're just trying to make any sort of flower that's not out of book pages. You could do this out of construction paper, origami paper, any kind of paper would work for these flowers. So it's a really nice, easy, simple, cheap way. And it's not too time consuming either. It probably, you'll see how long it takes me to make this one flower in this video. But the first couple ones that I did took me a little bit longer, and now I've gotten a little quicker at it. So I've cut out the base of it, and now what I'm going to just do is I'm going to cut in here and cut out the circle in the middle. And you will actually want to save these circles because you're going to use them later for the base of the flower to make it sturdier. And then what I'm going to do is just cut these in half so you get nice little papers like this and set those to the side. So now what I will end up with is 1, 2, 3, 4 flower petals. So the next step is to create the smaller pieces of petals for each of the flowers. So the first flower, you're just going to leave full size, not do anything with it, set that to the side. The second flower, you're going to cut off one petal. So I'm just going to cut this one across right here. So now I have this one with one less, and I have one set to the side. Next flower, you'll cut off two. So again, I have two separate pieces, one with just two, and the rest of it. Next one, of course, you'll cut off three. Again, you have a 3 petal and the rest of that one. And then you will have the last one, you're going to cut off 4. And so it'll be 2 of the same size pieces. You're going to put them in order of size, so most petals to least amount of petals, so that it makes the process a little bit quicker. So now I'm just going to flip my camera around. You'll see. Oh, I'm going to try to flip my camera around. You'll see the different petals that I all have lined up right there. My flip wasn't working, so I had to just kind of hold it over there. But moving on, now what you're going to do for each flower petal is you're going to put a little bit of glue on one side so that you can glue one flower petal to the next, like so. So I'm going to take my paintbrush in my glue, just dip it in there and put a little bit of glue on one petal, like so. And then simply put them together. And now you have a rounded shaped flower. And you're actually going to do that for every single one of them. So again, one side, one petal, put a little bit of glue on there. And then stick them together so they are connected. It is very easy to do this with the larger flowers, but it does get a little bit harder, and I'll show you in a second, when you get to the smaller 1 petal and 2 petal pieces. You have to be a little bit careful when you're sticking those together, because you have to hold them, and it just gets a little frustrating if you haven't done it before. So again, I'm almost done with these bigger pieces that are easier to stick together. Just folding them through. Again, getting nice little shaped flowers. Make sure that my glue sticks. And super excited to see how these look in my bouquets. I actually decided to mix these paper flowers with regular flowers from my boutique, just to give a little bit of extra flair and go along with my theme. Now I'm on to the 3 petal one. It gets a little bit harder. You'll just fold that one over. Connect with one another. Oh. Good, looks like that. And now when you get to the 2-piece one, you're just going to put a little bit of glue on the outside of one petal so that when you connect it, and you'll have to play around with it a little bit, but when you connect it, it should have kind of an opening on the bottom right there still. So it'll overlap. So put a little glue on this outside corner and put my paintbrush down so I can overlap it. You do want the hole to be a little bit tinier because eventually these pieces will all be layered on top of one another, so you might have to work with it a little bit and try to hold it into place as best as you can. So that's kind of what mine looks like right now. Probably could have gotten a little bit tighter, but it is what it is. And then, of course, your last one is just a 1 petal piece, and this is the more difficult one to get. Again, you're just gonna put the glue on one side of the flower petal, and then very carefully try to roll it and layer it. You, again, are gonna have a tiny little hole on the flower, and actually that one I did pretty well. I just have to hold it into spot, and you'll see it looks very small. Let me let my dog out real quick because she's crying. Hold on, baby. All right, so now you get to the point where you're going to layer them. So this is where you need some sort of pencil or something that helps. You're gonna take the smallest piece, that one petal that you just glued together, and just slide your pencil on through it to where the small hole is on this side and the pencil can fit on the outside part of it. And then you're gonna take your paintbrush with your glue on it, and you're just gonna put some all around that piece. And once you have a good amount of glue on there, you're gonna go ahead and take your next smallest piece. This was the 2-petal flower that you glued together, and you're just gonna slide that over it and try to slide it all the way down. And then when you do that, just again, put some glue on that outside so it all holds together. And you're gonna keep doing this process, moving towards the larger layers as you go. But you do wanna do it in order. So this is my next smallest piece. I'm just gonna slide that down, kind of brush the glue down with it and add more. Again, as you do this with a couple of flowers, it actually gets a little bit quicker. Just slide that down. Again, add some glue. And this is the point in the video where if I was good at editing, I would probably speed myself up so you could see the process a little bit quicker, but I'm not very good at that, so you can fast forward me if you need, but the process is the same. You just keep gluing and layering for each one. Again, I have about 3 left, and then I'm going to show you why those little tiny center pieces from earlier that we cut in half were kind of important to hold on to so that you can kind of build the base of it a little bit stronger. 2 more to add. And so this is also why I said that you don't necessarily have to cut out 5 papers. You can do more, you can do less. It just will add or take away layers to your flower. I like mine this size because it looked good with what I envisioned my bouquets would look like. I have also seen some things online where people just created these for just a party as decor. They created it as extra decor in their house. They're just cute little flowers that you can pretty much do anything with. So this is my last layer. I'm just gonna secure that there. Brush the glue down a little bit. And you'll see on the top, this is what it looks like on the inside right now on the pencil. And so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take those smaller pieces that I cut out, and I'm just going to layer them around, because if you see, all that glue that I've been putting on there has made this a little bit more flimsy, and we want it to hold. So I'm going to just kind of drape them around and make it a little bit thicker on that base so that it's not falling apart in a second when we have to pull it off the pencil, which I have also done before. So I'm just wrapping them around. I'm gonna add a little glue to it because mine is not sticking right now. So if you just add a little bit more glue there, you just make it a little bit more solid. Tighten that up. And that is looking pretty good. Okay, so now be very careful, but you are actually going to pull the flower off of the pencil. It can sometimes get stuck glue-wise, but mine came off pretty easily. And so now you have this, and what you're gonna do is, the final step to make it look really nice is you're gonna take the petals individually and just roll them down your pencil so that they curve a little bit. And I'm just gonna do that with a couple of them so that you can see how much better it looks once you roll these petals down. That was something that I originally did not do on the first couple of flowers. And then I saw a video tutorial of someone doing it, and I was like, oh no, man, that makes them look so much better. So I definitely recommend taking this extra step to individually roll down some of these petals so that it looks a little bit more flower-like. When you get to the center, they are a little bit more difficult to roll down. So I just have to do it very carefully. And sometimes I'll just kind of tuck them underneath my finger to help them roll. But when you are done, you get a really nice flower, and you can choose to have them stemless, or you can actually buy a wire and a top to that wire and push it through that little tiny hole, which is why you want a hole at the bottom, and add stems to them and create larger bouquets. So hope this helped, and that some of you guys will have a great time making some paper flowers.